Today we're going to look at all these small knives in the 58mm segment and how to lock them. And I'll also do some small comparison between mostly the Squirt and the Gerber and the Classic and maybe the Mini Champ as well. I could lock them all using paracord, but different ways of course. But they all have quite strong locks actually. So I thought we would start with the Leatherman Squirt, which sadly is a discontinued model. And this locking here is very strong, and this is how you proceed to lock it. You need to have this small paracord. You open the blade, you go around the blade with the paracord from the back of the knife, you go back over, and then you can sort of pinch the paracord while you open the nail file, and you put the paracord into the small recession here in the knife and you close it, and you get a really strong lock. So that was the Leatherman Squirt. Let's put it here. So if we look at the Gerber dime, the blade has no ricasso part here, or it has one, but it's really small and it's too far down to actually go around it with a paracord. And if I would use a ring here, it would go against the blade and destroy it. So what you would need to do here is file down the blade a bit here, so that you get a wider ricasso part of the blade. So this knife, sadly, I cannot lock easily. You need to go and do some filing of the blade first. But then again, you get a longer blade than you would have otherwise. And if you look at the blades here of these two, you see there are different shapes. This is a sheep's foot blade, and this is a drop point blade. And the Gerber dime has probably lesser steel in the blade, whereas the Leatherman Squirt probably has more expensive steel. This blade is ground on both sides, whereas this Leatherman Squirt blade is just chisel ground, that is sharpened on one side. So it has an angle on this side, but no angle here, just straight. And this blade form of the Gerber dime was historically used for trimming hooves of sheep, and it doesn't prick stuff as easily as this drop point shaped blade, which is more of a general purpose blade. One benefit you have from using this is that you can do more detailed stuff, putting your finger onto the blade and cutting like this with the point of the blade, whereas this more pointy blade actually is harder to do that with. You need to have a much more perpendicular angle towards what you cut. So if you want to do detailed stuff like this, you would use this blade instead of this. So that was the comparison of these two in short. I really like the Leatherman Squirt much more than the Gerber dime. The Gerber dime is sort of a toy to me compared to Victorinox and Leatherman, mainly because of the poor choice of material. If you look for example at this Phillips screwdriver, it's a really cheap steel, and the first time I used it I actually managed to bend the point, so I had to twist it back. The material seems to be a bit better in this flathead screwdriver. This nail file is very cheap as well. And as for the pliers, they're famous for breaking, and they're not very precise. They have a large play in the nose. I own 3 of these, so I know what I'm talking about. Actually I had 4, but one of them I had to send back because it was so misaligned up here that it wasn't possible to use it. And as for the scissors of the Gerber dime, there's no comparing it to the Victorinox. So you see here, it cannot cut the paracord. This is 2mm 3-strand paracord. It sort of shows its way through in the end, compared to the Leatherman. Let's see how it fares. It sort of shows on the paracord, but when holding it down, I'm sure it will get through. In a couple of snips, it actually managed to go through. Compare this to a Victorinox scissor. It's really no use comparing this. These scissors on the Leatherman Squirt are okay. These scissors on the Victorinox, all Victorinox models are great. And these scissors on the Gerber dime are child toy grade, actually. And they're good for like cutting nails in a pinch and like cutting paper, but definitely nothing more. Let's look at the locking of this, my wife's 58mm. It has the fastening of the ring on this same side as the blade, so it's a bit harder to lock. So I just open up a ring a bit so I can put it through this holder and over the ricasso, and now it becomes locked. And it's a very firm lock, actually. It's as strong as this material in the ring, and it's very fast to set up. So that was a standard classic Alox model. Let's compare it to the mini champ. This is a mini champ, which is a limited edition from this group here. I don't recall the name of, but it was very expensive, but also very pretty to look at, so I had to have it. And I don't carry this usually since it's so expensive. But as you can see here, it's quite easy as well. I open the blade, and then you just go around the ricasso part here, making sure that the paracord is on this side of the nail file, and going back over, pinching the paracord while opening this Phillips and making sure that the paracord gets into this groove here and closing, like so. And now it's locked. And it's a very firm lock, this one as well. At least a couple of kilos, maybe more. So that was the mini champ. So next up are these two. Both of them are actually discontinued since they have this 2-layer flathead screwdriver. This one is a Rover and this one is a Rally. The Rally is still possible to buy, of course, but you don't get this flathead screwdriver here, 2-layer. You get the Phillips instead. But let's start with this Rover, which also has this flathead, which I really like. I purchased all of these and a lot more just to make this rumbler, which I will get to later. So this is how you lock this one. Open the blade, go around the blade on the ricasso, going back, opening this flathead screwdriver and just closing, just like so. And it gets a really firm lock onto the ricasso. This is several kilos. That was the Rover, and now let's look at the Rally. And this is a bit more advanced, maybe just more for fun than actually usable, since this ring is on this side. So let's have a look at this. So as you can see, it's through the ring here. So this is how you lock the old rally, or the new rally as well. You open the blade, you open the combo tool, you go up into this ring and through it, since otherwise the lanyard will slip over the side. And you need to go back through the ring as well. You need to tighten it a bit and go back down. And here you want to make sure that you go one turn here, or 2 turns, so that this one doesn't close. You open the nail file and you put the lanyard into this whole groove, and then you close, and you have a locked blade as well. This is quite firm, depends on how taut the line is, of course. I could actually tighten it a bit more here, like so, and then go a couple of turns here instead of just 1 turn and closing it. This is a couple of kilos at least. So that was the rally. And as you can see here, this blade could be locked with the same method as this classic, since the ring is up here. So this is just another way of doing it if you don't want to go with the ring style of lock of the classic. And then we can have a look at my EDC A-locks 58mm, and as you see, it has many. It has a necklace twisted around it, and that's because I always carry it around my neck, like so. Locking that one, it's easier just to use what you have. Doing like so, you open the blade, you just go around the ricasso once, making sure that you don't slip over to the blade, and then just twist it like so. And then at the end of the lanyard, I just lock it with a simple knot here, like so. And then it's done. This becomes a very firm lock actually. It's got 2 strands of paracord over the ricasso part. This would pull many kilos as well. So that was the classic locking number 2 actually, or actually we have this these 2 methods now, which you can lock the classic with. And there is probably an easy way. If you don't want to have a necklace, you can just take a single lanyard, maybe this long, and do the same method. And what we have left here is the custom-made Rombler, which is a combination of a Rover and a Rambler. It combines both of the 2-layer Phillips and the 2-layer flathead screwdriver, which is discontinued. And why I prefer this flathead screwdriver 2 layers is primarily because of the feel when using it. It feels very much more solid than the 1 layer. But otherwise the 1 layer screwdriver is really tough. I compared this 2 layer to the 1 layer in a video I did on the boat this summer, and I tried to break the flathead on this one actually as a torture test, but it wouldn't break. It just went back to its original form. So it's very tough, but the feeling of a 2 layer is not comparable to 1 layer, and I think it's very sad they discontinued this one. And this is also magnetized, so I wanted both of them in the same tool and carry it every day. And for this one I've used this slip knot fastening, which is quite fun to work with. Maybe not the easiest way to set it up, but definitely fun thing to do. So it's on this side where the ring is, so I start by opening the blade a bit actually, like so. Or since I have this loop a bit tightened already, I can do like this, just go around like so. where the slip knot already is tightened and push it over the recassor here, and it's done. The thing is that you could tighten it afterwards, then you don't need to open the blade with a ring on it. But now it gets really locked into place and really firm locking. So I'm in Spain right now, and the weather has been really bad, and there's been a lot of flooding here. So, but we've been lucky and haven't seen anything basically more than a lot of thunderstorm and rain. But the weather is not that nice actually. It could be much better this time of year. So that's it. The locking of all this is performed, and I think all of them lock quite nicely, and it's definitely worth the while if you intend to use this as your only carry. It could be good to be able to lock them if you run into sort of an overmatch you need to deal with your knife, with your really small knife. Then again, knife size, these are not really comparable, the Leatherman Squirt to the classic 58mm blade size. You see the Leatherman Squirt has a much bigger blade, which is really much more competent, and you could actually do a lot more with. And since it's chisel ground, if you keep a really good edge to it, you could actually even shave with it. And I haven't been doing that with this knife, but I've been doing that with my Skipper, which is also chisel ground, which is good to know if you're in a pinch somewhere, you're at the dive site and you find yourself wearing a mustache. You might need to do emergency shaving.